Number 10.
State of Decay.
Hold on, I'm coming. Dude, I think these guys want to eat us.
State of Decay is an action-adventure survival horror stealth video game developed by Undead Labs and published by Microsoft Studios. It places emphasis on how the player's leadership skills fare against an onslaught of problems, such as diminishing survival resources, group trust and morale, zombie extermination, base defenses, and people's lives. The game combines elements of shooters, stealth, role-playing and strategy games, and the game challenges players to survive by exploring, scavenging, and fighting the undead.
These guys look messed up too.
Yeah. Stay low and keep quiet.
Make your stand against the collapse of society in the ultimate zombie survival fantasy game. Explore an open world full of dangers and opportunities that respond to your every decision. Recruit a community of playable survivors, each with their own unique skills and talents.
Number 9.
Burnout Paradise. Burnout Paradise The Ultimate Box features 5 gaming modes including Classic Race, Road Rage and Burning Route, plus the all-new Stunt Run and Marked Man games. Burnout Paradise is a 2008 open-world racing video game developed by Criterion Games and published by Electronic Arts for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows. Paradise's gameplay is set in the fictional Paradise City, an open world in which players can compete in several types of races. Players can also compete online, which includes additional game modes, such as cops and robbers. Several free game updates introduce new features such as a time-of-day cycle and motorcycles. Game won several awards in 2008, with Spike TV, Game Trailers and Game Hospital awarding it Best Driving Game. Reviewers felt the game had an excellent sense of speed, and praised the open-world gameplay, a first for the Burnout series.
Number 8.
Dead Rising 2. The sequel to the million-plus selling Dead Rising 2 takes the zombie survival horror to Fortune City, America's latest and greatest entertainment playground. Dead Rising 2 is an action-adventure video game developed by Canadian company Blue Castle Games, published by Capcom. The game features a number of new features and improvements to its predecessor, including multiplayer options. As Chuck Green, you have 72 hours to save your infected daughter, clear your name and survive the hordes of hungry zombies before the military comes in and nukes the city. To ensure your survival, you can combine everyday objects to create numerous deadly combo weapons and slaughter the ravenous zombies. Featuring a new story, 2 online multiplayer modes, thousands of on-screen zombies and more, Dead Rising 2 takes zombie survival horror to a whole new level.
Number 7.
Counter-Strike Global Offensive (CS:GO). Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a multiplayer first-person shooter video game developed by Valve and Hidden Path Entertainment. It is the fourth game in the Counter-Strike series and was released in August 2012. Global Offensive expands upon the team-based action gameplay that it pioneered when it was launched 19 years ago. CSGO features new maps, characters, weapons, and game modes, and delivers updated versions of the classic CS content. The game pits two teams against each other, the terrorists and the counter-terrorists. Both sides are tasked with eliminating the other while also completing separate objectives. The terrorists, depending on the game mode, must either plant the bomb or defend the hostages, while the counter-terrorists must either prevent the bomb from being planted, defuse the bomb or rescue the hostages. There are 9 game modes, all of which have distinct characteristics specific to that mode. The game also has matchmaking support that allows players to play on dedicated Valve servers, as well as allowing members of the community to host their own servers with custom maps and game modes. A Battle Royale game mode, Danger Zone, was introduced in 2018. Since its release, it has drawn in an estimated 11 million players per month, and has gathered an active competitive scene, with many tournaments sponsored by Valve themselves.
Number 6.
Crisis 2.
Somewhere in the park. EMAD emergency team pulled out yesterday, so anything that moves is...
The world has been ravaged by a series of climatic disasters and society is on the verge of breakdown. Now the aliens have returned with an invasion force bent on nothing less than the total annihilation of mankind. One super soldier wielding the nanosuit 2 will make the last stand to save humanity. Crisis 2 is a first-person shooter video game developed by Crytek, published by Electronic Arts. The game is the second main installment of the Crisis series, and is the sequel to the 2007 video game Crisis. It was the first game to showcase the CryEngine 3 game engine, and the first game using the engine to be released on consoles.
Number 5.
Darksiders. Deceived by the forces of evil into prematurely bringing about the end of the world, War, the first horseman of the apocalypse, stands accused of breaking the sacred law by inciting a war between heaven and hell. In the slaughter that ensued, the demonic forces defeated the heavenly hosts and laid claim to the earth. Darksiders is a hack-and-slash action-adventure video game developed by Vigil Games and published by THQ. The game's inspiration is from the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, with the player taking the role of the Horseman War. Brought before the Sacred Charred Council, War is indicted for his crimes and stripped of his powers. Dishonored and facing his own death, War is given the opportunity to return to Earth to search for the truth and punish those responsible. Hunted by a vengeful group of angels, War must take on the forces of hell, forge uneasy alliances with the very demons he hunts, and journey across the ravaged remains of the Earth on his quest for vengeance and vindication.
Judgment approaches! For the Helga!
Number 4.
Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist is an action-adventure stealth video game developed by Ubisoft Toronto and published by Ubisoft. The seventh installment of the Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell series, it is the sequel of Splinter Cell: Conviction. The game was released worldwide in August 2013. In the game, players control Sam Fisher, a spymaster working for the 4th Echelon, in a mission to stop the Engineers, a group of terrorists which is trying to coerce the United States into recalling all of its troops stationed abroad. Blacklist gameplay is similar to its predecessors, with players tasked with completing objectives and defeating enemies. The game received generally positive reviews when it was released, with praise for its level design, story, gameplay, combat, soundtrack and multiplayer mode.
Number 3.
Battlefield Bad Company 2. Battlefield Bad Company 2 brings the award-winning Battlefield gameplay to the forefront of PC gaming with best-in-class vehicular combat and unexpected battlefield moments. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is a first-person shooter video game developed by the Swedish firm EA DICE and published by Electronic Arts. The game is primarily a squad-level first-person shooter based in a contemporary modern warfare setting. Additionally, the game includes a single-player campaign, where the player reassumes the role of Preston Marlowe, the protagonist of the original game. The game's Frostbite 1.5 engine allows for destructible environments. Multiplayer maps, which allow for 5 different game modes, contain a wide selection of vehicles, aircraft and emplacements. The game was met with positive reception from critics. It became a commercial success, selling more than 12 million units since its initial release.
Number 2.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Live and breathe as Ezio, a legendary master assassin, in his enduring struggle against the powerful Templar Order. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is a 2010 action-adventure video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It is the third major installment in the Assassin's Creed series, and a direct sequel to 2009's Assassin's Creed 2. The plot follows the centuries-old struggle between the assassins, who fight for peace with free will, and the Templars, who desire the same but through control. The framing story is set in the 21st century and features series protagonist Desmond Miles who, with the aid of a machine known as the Animus, relives the memories of his ancestors to find a way to avert the 2012 apocalypse. The main story takes place immediately after the plot of Assassin's Creed 2, featuring assassin Ezio Auditore da Firenze in 16th century Italy and his quest to restore the Assassin Order and destroy his enemies, the Borgia family. He must journey into Italy's greatest city, Rome, center of power, greed and corruption to strike at the heart of the enemy. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is set in an open world and presented from the third-person perspective with a primary focus on using Desmond and Ezio's combat and stealth abilities to eliminate targets and explore the environment. Ezio can freely explore 16th century Rome to complete side missions away from the primary storyline. The game introduced a multiplayer component to the series, portrayed as a Templar training program. The game received critical acclaim, with critics praising its setting of Rome, content, gameplay improvements over its predecessor and the addition of a multiplayer mode. The story received a mostly positive response, although several critics found it to be inferior to Assassin's Creed 2's. It also won multiple awards including a BAFTA award for Best Action Game.
Number 1.
Dishonored.
Go on. Get off the property or we'll lock you up too.
Dishonored is an immersive first-person action game that casts you as a supernatural assassin driven by revenge. With Dishonored's flexible combat system, creatively eliminate your targets as you combine the supernatural abilities, weapons and unusual gadgets at your disposal. It is a 2012 action-adventure game developed by Arkane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. Set in the fictional, plague-ridden industrial city of Dunal, Dishonored follows the story of Corvo Atano, bodyguard to the Empress of the Isles. He is framed for her murder and forced to become an assassin, seeking revenge on those who conspired against him. The game is played from a first-person perspective and allows the player to undertake a series of missions in a variety of ways, with an emphasis on player choice. Missions can be completed through stealth, combat, or a combination of both. Dishonored received positive reviews, focusing on the mission's individual narratives and the freedom available in completing them. The game won several awards, including the 2012 Spike Video Game Award for Best Action Adventure Game and the 2013 BAFTA Award for Best Game, and was repeatedly recognized as the Best Action Adventure Game of 2012.